Shortly. Should be going live shortly here. Alright, I think we're live now. Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart. This time we're going to be watching the Super Nintendo World Direct, and it's starting in about 30 minutes from now. I figured we would just get things started now, just talk about a few different things regarding Nintendo. If you guys have any sort of questions, I'll try my best to answer them. Obviously, I don't know everything. I don't work for Nintendo. I'm just, speculating here on what they may be doing. But yeah, I think this Super Nintendo World Direct is going to be interesting. There aren't going to be new games announced here. Here they say it, no game content will be featured. So don't, expect that. Oh, good. That showed up. I was waiting for that. Let me see, turn on the annotations there. But anyways, for those in the chat, let me know if everything looks and sounds okay. Just want to see if everything's looking fine, and then we'll sort of start talking about some stuff, and then we'll watch the direct, and we'll go from there, right? I see that Alcatraz Dark Fu was in the chat earlier. Hello there. Alex Too Cheesy. Hello. I know you said hola in Spanish. Jose. Hello there. Larry, hello. Good evening, Jose. Larry V. Metroid Prime 4, let's go. Yeah, I know you were joking, but maybe sometime much later, like definitely at least next year, in terms of seeing it. Ian Boast, everything looks and sounds fine. Great, thank you very much, Ian. Hello there, Birdman, how you guys doing? So, I guess, just while I wait for people to sort of roll in here, I guess I'll just kind of, like, talk about what's on my mind right now, because we're coming towards the end of the year, right? And, obviously, I make YouTube videos, so I'm just kind of thinking, oh, what should I talk about next? What sort of angles can I go at here? What can I sort of figure out or find that would be something new to the equation, right? I try to always add something new. I don't try to just, like, rehash what's already been said, or at least if I talk about something, I want to try and do it in a better way. But anyways, I'm just kind of thinking about what's going on. Obviously, I focus on what Nintendo's trying to do next, right? And something like this was unexpected, the Super Nintendo World Direct. I did not see that coming. I figured, eventually Nintendo would talk about it, but I wasn't even sure they would do it in a Direct. So that's interesting. And I also feel like it's worth pointing out that, again, Nintendo is still using the Nintendo Direct branding. It is not gone. So don't worry, friends, if you're worried that the Direct is dead. Well, here's another Direct. It's not about games necessarily, but it is about Nintendo. It is a Nintendo Direct, just about a Super Nintendo World one. Really what we've been waiting for, though, is obviously the general Nintendo Direct. And that's been a lot of where my speculation has been at lately. When is that going to happen? And it's kind of hard to sort of gauge when that may happen, I think, because obviously Nintendo is very hard to predict. But also looking at how things are sort of turning out for next year, right? Like right now, Nintendo is very clearly pushing and promoting and advertising Monster Hunter Rise. And I've been talking about on the channel, Monster Hunter Rise is going to be one of the, if not the biggest selling third-party game on the Nintendo Switch. It's a third-party exclusive. There's that rumor that came out recently when Nintendo paid a few $1 million to make sure it would maintain a timed exclusivity. I don't know if that's true or not. Usually, when we get a Monster Hunter game for a Nintendo handheld that sticks to there, or at least it comes to other Nintendo systems later down the road, we don't really see it brought over to other systems. So I'm not saying that Monster Hunter Rise won't be on PC someday or what have you, but I don't really expect that, but we'll see what happens. The point is, though, that Monster Hunter Rise is a big deal right now, and that's coming out in March, and we're getting the demo in January. And we know we're getting 3D World Deluxe plus Bowser's Fury and Bravely Default 2 for February. But at the same time, though, Zelda's 35th anniversary is also this February, as well as Pokemon's 25th anniversary. Now, it's possible Nintendo doesn't celebrate Zelda's 35th anniversary. I doubt that, but it's possible, right? But Pokemon's anniversary, for sure, 100% will be celebrated. And there probably will be some sort of Pokemon Direct around Pokemon Day towards the end of February. Point is, you have all these different things that we already know about that could be happening around the early part of the year. But at the same time, we don't really know much about anything else. We didn't get to see Breath of the Wild 2 at the Game Awards. We didn't see anything Metroid. There is that looming speculation idea that maybe Samus will be added to Fortnite. If that's the case, you have to think some sort of announcement will be coming within the next couple months before Season 5 of Fortnite ends, so that could become a reality. So there's a lot of different things that are sort of like in the cards here, right? Not to mention Switch revision, maybe 2 Switch revisions. What's going on with those? Supposedly they're in the works. We've seen a lot of smoke for this Switch Pro. What's going on with that? I don't know. I mean, I'm working on something where I'm going to sort of compile like the different pieces of evidence that are suggesting a Switch Pro and what we may see, and I might put it together soon. But the point is, we don't know what's going on. But there's all these different things that could be happening. And we've talked about on the channel before how in 2021, it's going to be 4 years since the Switch's launch, come this March, right? Be the 4-year anniversary. And what's interesting about that is that in 2017, we had a whole bunch of amazing Nintendo games come out. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, ARMS, Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Super Mario Odyssey. All of those were really big, amazing games, and a lot of those development teams haven't made a game since. In other words, they've been basically developing their next games over the course of these last 3 to 4 years. In other words, in 2021, their development cycles will be close to over. Perhaps they'll be ready to release their games. Which leads me to think maybe Breath of the Wild 2 comes out next year. Maybe we see something from the Mario Kart ARMS team. Maybe we see something from the Super Mario team. Or even something else. There's a lot of different options here. So, point is, there's a lot that's going on. And it's kind of hard to figure out what Nintendo may or may not do. But let me check in the chat here. Let's see what you guys are saying. Hello there, Nintendo Josh. My life is fine. We're kind of snowed in right now. A whole bunch of snow. Birdman, doing a 2021 Nintendo predictions. It is in the works. There's a couple things I want to sort of address first to kind of build up to that big video, because that's going to be a big video for me. And I'm not entirely set in my predictions yet. I understand my predictions may not necessarily be true. We kind of do it more for fun and have some perspective, but obviously my specific predictions or anyone's specific predictions won't necessarily be true, but you know, maybe some of them will be. Point is though, I want to, it's in the works, but I'm still kind of working on it. Larry V, is this good during the pandemic? I'm assuming you're referring to Super Nintendo World. Well, I'll tell you that I don't know when this is opening. I think they may have mentioned it at some point. I don't remember. I'm sure they'll iterate on that, or they'll say something along those lines of when this is actually opening. This is really just telling us what's going on with it, because they haven't really detailed this too much. Like, we've gotten little snippets here and there over the last few years. This is Nintendo's actual time where they're going to be giving us straight up information about this park. And I think that's exciting. Now, to your point, is it okay to open a park during the pandemic? No, I don't think it is. But the thing is, that's why they didn't open it. They were supposed to open it during the summer around the Olympics. There was going to be the Olympics in Japan and all of that, and that did not happen. This Super Nintendo World Direct may have been planned like 6 months ago or even sooner. So I think they already delayed it, is my point. And I'm not sure when they're actually opening it, but the point is that they've already delayed it because of the pandemic. They are being conscious of that from what I've seen. So we'll see what their full plans are in terms of being prepared for that. And I also think it's worth noting that I'm not entirely sure what's going on in the East in terms of the pandemic and how they're dealing with it. But things here in the West, from what I understand, are far worse, at least for the States. So other countries are already a little bit more advanced. So perhaps opening this park in Japan, maybe within 6 months from now, won't be too lofty of a goal. But we'll see. We're going to learn more during this Direct. Taylor Hessian. Trash. Give me Metroid Prime 4 gameplay. Someday. Birdman, they found a way to use a direct name for 2020. Indeed they did. There's no partner there. It's just direct, and that's nice. Isabel N. Zelda. Someday. I don't actually expect to see Zelda content in this presentation. I'm just referring to like a ride or attraction here, just because from the footage we've seen, it seems to be all very Mario centric. I do hope sooner or later they do add like other Nintendo franchises, specifically Zelda, because Zelda is one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, along with Pokemon. You get those two in there, that's a big deal. I would love to see other things. Obviously, you know, Metroid has a lot of potential, Star Fox has a lot of potential, F-Zero has a lot of potential. Those all can be amazing rides. Star Fox and F-Zero more clearly. Metroid could be more of like a scary, like haunted house sort of thing. Maybe they even have like some sort of laser shooter you carry around too. But there's some really cool things they could do with all of these different franchises. They can even have like a Kirby like cooking area. Like there's so much they can do with their different franchises to make a really fun, amazing park. And those may be in the works, but from what we've seen of the photos, it's just Mario centric. But I'm hoping we have some surprises during this direct. We'll see. Ian Boast added me. Do you think we'll get a Nintendo Direct in January where they shall drop the demo for Monster Hunter Rise? Maybe, actually. That's an interesting point. So it kind of touches on something else I've been thinking, right? Because I was talking about when we opened up this live stream. There's a lot of different things surrounding what could be happening with Nintendo's announcements. Like, there's so many different things, it's hard to predict what they're going to do. Will we see the return of the general Nintendo Direct in January? Will we have to wait a little bit longer? Will we just get a Direct Mini? Will we see more partner showcases? Those are all possibilities, right? And of course, we could just get Twitter and trailer drops, things like that. But I've actually been considering, and I could for sure be wrong. This is like, I talked about on the podcast a few days ago. So take this with a grain of salt. This may very well not happen at all, but it's just kind of like a really exciting idea. Back in almost 4 years ago, January 2017, we had the massive Nintendo Switch presentation, the blowout, where they announced a whole bunch of things for the Nintendo Switch. We knew basically nothing about the Switch before this event. They pretty much told us everything. The speculation right now is that some sort of Switch revision is coming out relatively soon. Perhaps in January, once all the holiday sales have come in, Nintendo can then start focusing on promoting their next piece of hardware. That way they're not sort of bastardizing their sales for the holidays, right? So it kind of makes sense to perhaps have some sort of presentation in January. There's nothing in terms of big game releases slated for January. Maybe it's just a general Nintendo Direct, maybe it's an actual presentation, or just some sort of bigger event where they announce the Switch revision. They show off Breath of the Wild 2. Perhaps they make announcements for a couple other big games, maybe a new Mario game, maybe they show off Metroid. Maybe they just show us more gameplay for what's to come in the next coming months. There's a lot of different options there. So I do think there's a chance that January may have like a big presentation, but given how this year has gone, and the year before that, I'm gonna sort of be hesitant to expect a big presentation in January. Maybe it comes then, but we may have to wait a little bit longer, and maybe when we do get a presentation from Nintendo like a Nintendo Direct, it might just be a mini in February or March, which would be disappointing, but really they just have to talk about what's coming around the corner. And right now what's coming around the corner is Bravely Default 2, 3D World Deluxe plus Bowser's Fury, and Monster Hunter Rise. So we may not learn about anything else until like March or April. We're for sure getting like a Pokemon Direct or something like that in February, I'd say. But in terms of all the other things, we may have to wait a little bit longer. For Zelda's anniversary, I think they'll probably talk about it by February. That's my expectation. But they don't have to. They don't have to hold to that actual anniversary time. So we'll see. Let's see here. What are you guys saying? JM0235. Didn't even know this was a thing. Thanks, Andres. No problem, bud. Kieran Buckley. Andres, I think a Pokemon Direct will start off in Nintendo 2021 next month, just like this year. The Pokemon Company have already teased announcements. Yes, I agree. Something's coming. I'm just not sure it's coming in January. It might come in February, but you're right. I do think there is a Pokemon presentation in the works. Birdman seems to agree. Yeah, it's not really a lofty, crazy prediction. They've been doing it consistently every year. Hello there, Thomas. Nintendo, I would love to see a Zelda Direct. That's also an option. Michael L. The Direct we have been waiting for, hopefully, but I want to kind of keep my expectations in check. Nintendo, so this guy online was really persistent that Samus isn't a bounty hunter. I kept telling him that she is, but he kept saying she is a mercenary. It doesn't matter. Either way, like if Kratos can be considered a hunter, and Master Chief can be considered a hunter, Samus is more of that than they are. So, I wouldn't be too concerned about the wording there, but let's give it a quick Google search. I mean, she works for hire, but what's the difference between mercenary and bounty hunter? Is it really that much? They're very similar. According to the Metroid wiki, Samus Aran is a devout bounty hunter who left the Federation force. Perhaps she was a mercenary at first and then became a bounty hunter? Point is, she hunts. She works for hire. She's a hunter of some sort. She was in Metro Prime Hunter. She's one of the hunters. The whole idea behind Samus being a bounty hunter is that makes sense for the whole Season 5 Fortnite situation, how it's incorporating different hunters from different gaming franchises, and not just gaming franchises, just series in general. So, Samus applies here, for sure. More so than Star Fox or Captain Falcon, I'd say, but they also are options from Nintendo. Let's see here. Sean Klasky and 64. Have you seen the We Are Born to Play music video for this amusement park? I think that came out a few months ago. Yeah, I believe I did. I remember seeing a music video for the Nintendo park, and there is some sort of famous singer, but I don't really remember her name. It was cool. I've definitely at least used the footage from that in some of my videos. Ice Sonic. I want One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, but I don't know if it is worth it. Should I get it? I haven't played it myself, but I do believe it's considered an above average Warriors game. So if you're a fan of One Piece, if you're a fan of Warriors games, I think you should definitely go for it. Squirrel Mario 247. They should have called it Super Nintendo Land in reference to the Wii U game. Well, so there's so at least here, I don't know how it is in the other parts of the world, but there are 2 Disney parks, or 2 major Disney areas in the United States. So you have Super Disney, not Super, you have Disney World in Orlando, which is the one I've been to because I grew up in Miami. And you have Disneyland in California. So and Disney World is larger than Disneyland. I've always felt like World has had more of that implication of being larger than land. And we've even had Mario Land games and Mario World games, and that sort of has matched up there as well. I think Super Nintendo World is very all-encompassing, but I'll also tell you, I am really hoping for some sort of Nintendo Land references in this thing, for sure. If they put Monita and some of the artificial intelligence or whatever they use for this park, that would be amazing. For those who don't know, Monita is the main character for Nintendo Land. She sort of guides you throughout everything. She's a tour guide. Hello there, Stormquick. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, I've still got about 15 minutes. Nintendo. It is called Super Nintendo Land, not Mario Land. So maybe there is a Zelda section too, or Nintendo World. But I think the naming Super Nintendo World implies that other things beyond Mario will become a part of the park. But the thing about theme parks is that these things take a while to make and be built. So while they may have other ideas, they're going to stick with their most popular thing at first, which is Mario. And then hopefully they slowly expand, because I think there's a lot of potential there, as we addressed earlier. But we'll have to be patient. I think you should probably just expect Mario, and they show something else. That'll be a nice surprise. Especially based off the pictures we've seen. It's been mostly Mario. Kieran Buckley. February is when the games start to roll in for Switch. Mario 3D World, Persona 5 Strikers, Bravely Default 2. Absolutely, you're right. Birdman. Remember, Pokemon still has a collaboration with the International Space Station on December 31st. So that will start off the 25th anniversary of Pokemon and then a presentation in January. You may be onto something. I think I remember I talked about with someone the other day. For sure, I think there's something to look into there. I don't know if that's when they'll actually talk about game stuff, but yeah, they could at least start teasing their plans for the 25th anniversary, because Pokemon Company has been known to tease things for a few months. Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee were teased for half a year before they were actually revealed. There was a lot of photos and sort of merchandising and marketing for Pikachu and Eevee, which is all a build up to the reveal for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee halfway through the year. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in January, is my point, but they could definitely at least start teasing Pearl and Dime Remix potentially, for example. the Ice Sheep. I would love to see a Zelda area in Super Nintendo World. Absolutely. There's so much they can do. One, they could have a whole Hyrule Castle. They could also have a Hyrule Field. They could like have a part where you sort of ride around on a horse or something. Like there's different things they can kind of do with that. Or maybe they could have a roller coaster where you ride on the actual dragons from Breath of the Wild. And it's like there's an entire like cool area. Maybe it's like an inside thing that you can like fly through the world of Hyrule and Breath of the Wild. That would be amazing. And I think it's actually possible. Just, you know, requires some ingenuity and a lot of money. Let's see here. Giancarlo added me. Do you think a Super Mario Odyssey 2 or brand 3D Mario is possible? Absolutely. As I noted earlier, the Super Mario Odyssey team released their game back in 2017. We don't know what that particular internal Nintendo team has been working on since then. I would assume the next big Mario game. They didn't even have any paid DLC for Mario Odyssey, yet at the time, Mario Odyssey was like the second best-selling game on Nintendo Switch, and we even had a Nintendo executive, forget which, if it was Kimishima or if it was already the new Nintendo president, but either way, we had a top Nintendo president tell us that they had plans to introduce DLC for their biggest games. Mario Odyssey never got paid DLC. Neither did Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But Mario Odyssey is a brand new game, so it's kind of a little different, right? Point is, I think that sort of... Excuse me. I think that hints at the fact that they are working on something, and they probably just moved on to developing their next big thing. Their next big thing could be Mario Odyssey 2 or some sort of new Mario game. Super, super possible, for sure. So we may see that this year. Even if it doesn't come out this year, it could at least get announced this year. Stormquick, do you think there might be a Pokemon Center in the theme park? I feel like if there isn't eventually a Pokemon Center in the theme park, that would be a missed opportunity. I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense to put all things Nintendo in a Super Nintendo World Park. So, I hope so. But again, from the photos we've seen, it seems to be mostly Mario-centric, but over the coming years, that will slowly expand it, hopefully, and bring in more things. That's my hope. Jam, when do you think we could expect to see something about Super Mario Odyssey 2? That's tough to say. Like, if it really comes down to when it's coming out. If it's planned for 2022, I think we could see like some sort of teaser for it at E3 potentially. It's really hard to say. Like, for example, Nintendo teased Breath of the Wild 2 back in 2019. Now we're going to 2021 and we're not sure when we're going to see that, you know? It's tough, but I'll say that for Mario, the reveal to release windows tends to be shorter. So if they do reveal it this year, I think that would suggest it's not too far off. They could, and the thing is, it could even be close to done, and they may save it for 2022 because they need to space out the releases. So we'll see, but I think there's definitely a decent chance that we could see the game this year. At the very least, I'll say that whatever the Mario Odyssey team has been working on, if Nintendo wants to, they have more than enough to give us a trailer for, like with gameplay, I bet. But the problem is that it comes down to when Nintendo wants to actually release it based off their schedule for their other releases. It doesn't even come down to how close to it's done necessarily. So we'll see. Giancarlo, February is so crowded. That is looking like 2019 September. Yeah, right? Not to mention there's the potential of both a Pokemon and Zelda Anniversary presentation there on top of the game releases. And also by that point we may see another Smash reveal. So there's a lot to look forward to come this February. I'm not saying those things necessarily happen then, but that's around the timing of when you would expect them. How close are we to the reveal? Okay, we got about 6 minutes left. Neon Knight. Am I wrong in thinking that Nintendo needs to give us something for Breath of the Wild 2 before the end of the year? Like, the thing about Nintendo is that they are so hard to predict, and even when we think that it makes sense to do a particular thing, they don't necessarily do it. Like, their logic is different from our logic, you know, which makes it kind of tough to predict. Sometimes they can be predicted. There's patterns that sort of make sense. There are sort of windows that make sense for the reveals for things. But honestly, I think they can wait until the actual Zelda anniversary this February. They could theoretically wait until E3 if the game is coming out this holiday. Would that be painful to see? Absolutely. I would hate for that to happen. I want to see it sooner than later. But I think now that the Game Awards have come and gone, I don't think they're going to show it off this year. I think they're going to wait. Keep in mind that Nintendo executives go on holiday around Christmas and New Year's. And next week is Christmas. So honestly, I feel like this is probably the last week of major announcements before we start the new year. This year's been kind of hectic. We got the Sephiroth presentation. We're getting the Super Nintendo World Direct. There's a couple other little things. The Bravely Default 2 demo came out. So there's some few things that have come out this week. And that's the week after the Game Awards. We had a few other little things. So really, I'm kind of thinking this is like the last week before they go on holiday. So my expectation is that we won't see anything in terms of like major announcement from Nintendo until January. This is like probably like the last thing before January. I would love to be wrong, but that's just sort of what I'm thinking right now, because they do have to go on holiday. They do take a break for a couple of weeks at the end of the year. So we'll have to wait on that. Maybe there's another week in there where we get some announcements, either like the beginning of next week, or they come in a little bit earlier, potentially. It is a weird situation due to the pandemic and all, but they are going to go on holiday. So they expect like the last part of the year to kind of be a little slow in terms of announcements. But like, should it have been revealed this year? Like, even if it doesn't happen yet, I think it's weird that they go more than a year and a half without talking about the game. I absolutely do. But again, this is a pandemic year. This is a unique situation. A lot of games are delayed and pushed up. A lot of things Nintendo intended on showing us were not shown. So there's that. I'll also tell you that I feel like it's a little contradictory what they've done. So we go back to 2019. There was a whole bunch of games that came out in 2019. E3 2019, in my opinion, is like the best Nintendo Direct ever. And they could have closed things out with the Banjo-Kazooie reveal back at E3 2019. That was more than enough. It was already a great Nintendo Direct. But they decided to have one more thing. Even though the Banjo-Kazooie was already the one more thing, right? Because they could have closed it with Animal Crossing and it would have been fine. But they showed Banjo-Kazooie, which made it a great Direct in my opinion. And then they showed one more thing after that. And that was Breath of the Wild 2. They had no business. They did not need to do it then at all. But they did. There was so much to talk about and look forward to already. They did not have to show off Breath of the Wild 2 then. So the Nintendo of 2019 showed off way more than they needed to. The Nintendo in 2020 was like, hey, let's just not show off anything. Let's not talk about things way past E3 time. Let's let people believe that the big exciting thing you've all been talking about all throughout the year is not going to happen. Like, they revealed 3D All-Stars like 2 weeks before it even came out. It's just kind of crazy. So the point I'm just trying to make here is that Nintendo showed off way too much in 2019, you could argue, and barely showed off anything in 2020. It's like two different like personalities here. I don't know what sort of Nintendo personnel we're getting in 2021, but you understand my point here. Because of how inconsistent Nintendo has been with their patterns and how they go about doing things, it's really hard to predict what Nintendo's thinking. So we'll see, but I'll tell you this, I feel really confident in saying that Breath of the Wild 2 will probably have something, will be somehow related to the 35th anniversary of Zelda in terms of marketing. I think that's a very, very good bet. And the Zelda anniversary is this February, so hopefully we see something soon. Wheelchair. I like hippos. Me as well. I love hippos. Hippos are beautiful, very dangerous animals. Darcy. Yo, Andres. Good stuff lately. Thank you. Darcy, I just woke up. Is this literally what the title says, where it's a direct showing what is going to be at the Super Nintendo World Park? Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And we are going to start it very soon. Like, we're waiting on it. We're not far off, guys. JM0235. Banjo was the best reveal ever. It was one of the greatest. I agree. Stormquake. I'm hoping for a Diamond and Pearl remix. Me too. Like, I would be okay with Let's Go Johto. I wouldn't mind that for the Pokemon game next year, but Pearl and Diamond remix is just way more exciting. Like, I haven't played Pearl in so long. Technically, we got the Soul Silver, Heart Gold after Pearl and Diamond and Platinum. So if they were to go and revisit Gen 2 again, after we already got the Gen 2 revisit after release for Gen 4, I think that'd be a little weird. Not to mention that if they were to do Let's Go Johto, part of the whole story of Silver and Gold is that you have... Oh, it's starting. Oh, here we are.
皆さん、こんにちは。マリオのお父さんの宮本です。今回のダイレクトはゲームのお知らせではありません。ついに日本のここユニバーサル・スタジオ・ジャパンにリアルなマリオの世界を体験できるスーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドが完成しました。そこで今日は私、宮本が直接世界中の皆さんに世界で初めてスーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドの中を紹介していきたいと思います。あちらの大きな土管が入り口です。それでは Here we go!
Here we go!
さあ、中はどうなってるんでしょうね。ゲームの中ではね、土管の中はあまり描いてこなかったので、実際にリアルなサイズのワープ土管を作るとどんな中身がいいのかってことでいろいろアイデアをみんなで議論しました。でたくさんのアイデアが出て、それを全部作ったら一つのアトラクションになるということで、シンプルなワープ土管です。皆さんでワープしてください。
Warping through, guys, into the Super Nintendo world. Wow.
さあ、
This is so cool. Oh, we got paintings from Odyssey.
どこなんでしょうね、ここは。
It's Mario. This is a castle.
ビーチ上のロビーのようです。音楽が流れてますね。この音楽聴いてると、ほら、スーパーマリオ64のロビーですね。こうしていろんなマリオシリーズの音楽が流れてるので楽しんでください。壁に絵もありますよ。
I want to jump through. This is so cool. Oh wow.
さあ、それでは表に出てみましょう。
It's a
ここが
Mario
スーパー
world.
ニンテンドーワールドです。本当に作ってしまいました。現実に見ると大迫力で、中央にマウントビンポールがそびえ立って、そのてっぺんには旗があります。
I want to climb it.
このピーチ城の前の広場からエリア全体を見てみましょう。向こうの方にはヨッシーやクリボーの姿も見えますね。それぞれがゲームのように動いています。いろんなキャラクターがいて、本当のマリオの世界、キノコ王国に来たみたいです。それではちょっと歩きながら見て回りましょうか。さあ、このスーパーニンテンドーワールドの中はいろんなキャラクターが動き回ってるんですけども、それだけじゃないんですよ。ゲストの皆さんが自分でインタラクティブに関わることもできます。はい、ハテナブロックのアクティビティのところに来ました。私がつけてるこれ、パワーアップバンドがあるとさらに楽しく遊べます。こんな感じで手首に巻きつけるんですけども、このパワーアップバンドを使ってエリア内のあちこちに隠された秘密を探したり、いろんなアクティビティを遊んだりすると、このパワーアップバンドに記録されます。そしてバンドについている QR コードを読み込むと、スマートフォンのアプリと連動して自分の状態を知ることができるんですね。試しにやってみましょうか。ここのハテナブロックをパワーアップバンドの手で叩きます。コインって言いましたね。それでスマートフォンの方を見てみると、ちゃんと1枚カウントされましたね。この感じでこのバンドを使ってエリア内のいろんなところに隠されている秘密を見つけてください。バンドは全部で6種類あります。さらにこのバンドは実はアミーボの機能もついているので、自宅に帰ってからも使ってみてください。それではもう少し先に行ってみましょう。はい、だんだんとブロックの景色に近づいてきました。すごいね、近づくと迫力ありますよね。さらにいろんなものが動いてます。こちらにでっかいパックンフラワーがいましたね。これもアクティビティの一つなんですけども、今日は紹介しません。眠ってるようなのでそっと起こさないように行きましょう。
This is so cool.
さあ、こちらにあるのはノコノコですね。 のこのこのアクティビティ、これを少し今日は紹介しましょう。はい、のこのこのいる土管の上にある鍵が欲しいんですね。
Yeah, me too.
こちらにはパワーブロックがあります。早速遊んでみましょう。
Okay.
こうしてパワーブロックのパワーが伝わっていきます。
Hit it right going through. When you're
ちゃん
right
とタイ
under
ミ
it.
ングを合わせて取らないとダメなんですね。あ、
Not very good, are you? Got it. Yeah, you got time.
やりました。このようにタッチして鍵がもらえます。その鍵はパワーアップバンドに記録されています。
I'm sorry for
こうい
trash
う体
talking.
験できる遊びをアクティビティ
I'm
と
too
呼んでいます。
competitive.
コインブロックのようなちっちゃな体験とちょっと大型のアクティビティがあるんですけども、いくつかのアクティビティの中で3つの鍵を手に入れると最終アクティビティクッパジュニアとのバトル、これにチャレンジできます。それではもう一つ見てみましょうか。
This looks
Hi.
awesome, guy. I know it's just Mario, but it's just all really cool.
本当に巨大な迷路のようなリアルな地下洞窟を作ってしまいました。怪しい雰囲気ですよね。気をつけてください。あら、ブロック見つけました。ちょっと叩いてみますね。嘘。さっきからあちこちに気になるところがありますよね。こんなマークを見つけたらちょっとバンドをかざしてみます。
Right? I just love that the park is interactive.
クッパが現れました。最終ボスです。そんなわけないですよね。さらに奥に行きます。ボム兵がいました。これね、ボム兵気をつけてくださいよ。
This is so cool. I love
ほら
this.
爆発した。
I like that he's there, like it's
気をつ
almost
け
like
て
a
ください
POV.
ね。爆発
Yeah,
し
the
ました。
resolution's not great. I'm at 1080-60 here, but
あれ、みんなどうしたんですか。ちっちゃくなってますよ。ちゃんとついてきてくださいね。
I'm trying.
ああ、なんかブロックが巨大に見えてきましたね。
Oh,
ちっちゃく
okay.
なってしまった
Okay,
みた
that's
いです
neat.
ね。ここに
Gotta do it.
巨
Bop
大
it.
なハテナブロック見つけました。叩いてみましょ
Do
う
it.。
今度はコインがもらいました。1枚だけですけどね。
So
さらに
cool.
奥に
That's all I have to
巨
say
大な
right
ボム
now.
兵がいます。踏み潰されないようにしたいですね。この巨大なボム兵もアクティビティの一つです。さあ、どんなインタラクティブなのか、それは皆さんが実際ここに来て
I
体験
knew
して
it.
くだ
I
さ
knew he
い。
was gonna show. They're not gonna show us everything, right? Just to tease us. Oh, the resolution is bumped up a little bit. Looks like.
はい、無事に戻ってきました。体もね、元の大きさに戻りましたね。じゃあ次へ行きましょう。さあ、次にやってきたのはスーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドのギフトショップ
Gotta
ワンアッ
love
プ
them.
ファクトリーです。土管の中はおもちゃの工場になっていて、
Okay.
世界中でここだけ
Guys,
に
I'm
しか
trying
ない
to
ス
spot
ーパーマリオのグ
non-Mario
ッズ
stuff
を
here. I'm like
作って
looking
販売
real
していま
hard.
す。その中でも今日は任天堂の開発チームが作ったスペシャルなおもちゃを一つご紹介します。これです。トコトコマリオと言います。
Well, that's cool.
名前の通り、こうして押すとマリオがトコトコ歩くんです。電池はいりません。
Okay.
開発チームが細かな動きにまでこだわって作りました。ビデオゲームだけじゃなくて、こういうリアルなものを作るのも開発のメンバーとても楽しんでるんですね。それでは皆さんもお楽しみください。では次の場所に行ってみましょう。
What's he eating?
あ、これですか。ポップコーンです。ポップコーンなんか食べながら歩くと行儀が悪いって叱られそうですけども、これはユニバーサル・スタジオが作った特別なポップコーンです。キャラメルピーチ味とマッシュルーム味があります。
In caramel
で
peach
も
flavor?
オリジナル
Oh.
の食べ物はこれだけじゃないんですね。はい、スーパーニンテンドーワールドでお
Oh
腹が
man.
空いた時
A
は
Nintendo
こちら
cafe.
キノピオカフェです。あ、どうして
Hello,
ルイージ
Luigi.
マリオもどうしたの？あ、そうか、写真撮影してるのか。おう、じゃあカメラさんの方見て写真撮ろうか。よし、じゃあ行きますよ。3、2、1、オキドキ。
I think these are really good costumes.
ありがとう。いや、お父さんもね忙しいからみんなも写真撮って頑張ってね。はい、ありがとう。
Aww.
さあ、じゃあキノピオカフェの方に入っていきましょ
That's so cute.
う。はい、キノピオカフェに入ってきましたね。ここでもなんかアイテムがもらえるみたいですよ。
Do it.
あ、ここにありました。
Come on, I'm getting hungry,
じゃあ
man.
大きな包みと小さな包み、当然大きい方ですよね。
Coins.
コインがたくさんもらいました。じゃあ奥へ行きましょうか。ここはキノピオたちが運営してるんですね。キノピオが僕らを迎えてくれます。
Awesome.
あ、シェフが来ましたね。シェフ、おい、
That's
こんにち
awesome.
は。
It's so cool.
こんにちは。キノピオカフェにようこそ。
はい、
私の名前は
Chef Toad.
キノピオ。
あ、もう言いました。もうシェフ来ました。はい、
長をしています。
はい、シェフがね開発したキノコ料理がいっぱいあるんですよね。壁にはこんなにメニューが並んでます。
Oh, dude.
今夜アイテム
Give it all. I'm eating all of it.
集まってますか？そろそろ
I'm going to Japan right now.
はい、ペコペコなんでそろそろ中へ入っていきます。
それではこちらに。
はい、中はこんな感じです。
It's pretty big.
たくさんの方が食事できるようにとても広くなってます。天井にはいろんなパワーアップアイテムがありますね。皆さんもここでご飯を食べてパワーアップしてください。
So cool.
奥の壁の窓を見てください。
Oh my
そこか
god.
ら厨房の様子が見え
This
ま
is
す。
like a really
キノピオ
well
た
done
ちが大
park,
勢で
guys.
頑張って料理を作ってくれています。
They focus only on Mario, it seems like, but what
メ
they've
ニューはも
done
ちろん
is just
キノ
very,
コ特製です
very
よ。
detailed and thought
僕ら
out.
もシェフが作ってくれた料理をたくさん試食してその中から選びました。厳選されたメニューを提供しています。例えばマリオバーガーや
I want it,
キノコのピッツァボールなどどれもキノコを使っていて美味しいですよ。
dude.
他にもたくさんあるのでスーパーニンテンドーワールドで冒険に使えた時はぜひ立ち寄ってシェフキノピオの料理を味わってくださいね。スーパーニンテンドーワールドいかがでした
I
か？
think it's amazing.
ファミリーコンピューターのスーパーマリオブラザーズが誕生して今年で35年になります。そして今年なんとそのゲームの世界をここユニバーサル・スタジオに本気で作ってしまったんですね。マリオメーカーのように簡単に作れればいいんですけどもリアルに作るのは簡単ではないです。それをユニバーサル・クリエイティブの皆さんが本気で作ってくれました。
Okay.
今回ご紹介したのはほんの一部です。まだまだお楽しみがたくさんあります。スーパーニンテンドーワールドは日本のユニバーサル・スタジオで2月4日にグランドオープンとなりますが現在は新型コロナウイルスの影響で海外からお越しいただくのはちょっと難しい状況かと思います。ただまあ少しお時間をいただくことになりますが日本以外の国でもスーパーニンテンドーワールドが計画されています。アメリカではロサンゼルスのハリウッドとフロリダのオーランドそしてさらにアジアではシンガポールでもそれぞれのユニバーサル・スタジオでスーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドが展開されます。ですがもしそれまでに安心して自由に行き来できる状態になれば、ぜひここ日本のスーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドに
I want
来て
to.
ください。スーパー・ニンテンドー・ワールドは世界中の皆さんをお待ちしています。さて後ろに見えているのはクッパ城です。中はマリオカートのアトラクションになっていてクッパ軍団とのバトルが待ち受けています。任天堂とユニバーサルが作る以上は世界初めてのアトラクションにしたいという意気込みでなんと6年もかかってしまいました。
6
そ
years.
して皆さんは間もなく世界初の体験ができます。最後にちょっとだけお城の中を覗いてみましょうか。
Okay. Dude, I love this park so
さ
much.
あ階段の上には巨大なクッパが待ち構えています。
Wow, that's a great
おーそば
statue.
から見ると怖いです
That
ね。
looks really cool. I
なんか
want
ろう
it.
そくの明かりもゆらゆらとして
I
て
want
毛
a
が細
mansion
かいです
castle
ね。
someday.
それでは
I'll put that in
先へ
there.
進みましょう。はい、もう少し先に進むと マリオカートシリーズのおなじみのトロフィーが飾られてますね。
Nice.
そしてユニバーサル・スタジオ限定のトロフィー、これが今回のレースのトロフィーです。隣にはクッパからの挑戦状も来てますね。漢字が書けたんですね。
Me neither.
クッパからの挑戦状というタイトル通り、マリオに勝つためにクッパたちが準備した特別なコースでのレースに、
Oh, here. Oh,
マリ
man.
オチームの一員になって皆さんにチャレンジしていただきます。さて、チームクッパが隅々まで知り尽くした彼らのコースでチームマリオは勝利できるか、
Augmented
皆さ
reality,
んの
guys.
健闘を期待します。いかがでしたでしょうか。ここから先はぜひ皆さんご自身で体験していただけたらと思います。それでは皆さん、スーパーニンテンドーワールドでお会いしましょう。ご視聴ありがとうございました。
Thanks for showing it. I'm very excited.
では行ってきます。
Do you think that's it, guys? Seems likely. It was supposed to be a 15-minute presentation. That was 15 minutes long. Makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm very excited for this. I want to go to Japan this February. Technically, I mean, the thing is, it's probably way too expensive. So the answer is no. But I technically have the extra vacation time, so I could, in theory, maybe do it. But the funds probably are not there. Still, it's really cool. Also, I have to find someone who would want to go with me on such short notice, because I do not speak Japanese, and I would definitely need a lot of help for navigation. I would what I would consider navigationally impaired. I will get lost. But it looks so cool. I want to go there ASAP. Now, obviously, or perhaps not, I wanted to see something non-Mario. Again, that was not the expectation from everything I had seen beforehand. This is all very Mario focused. But what's super cool about it, though, is that there seems to be a lot of attention to detail. You can interact with the environment. You have these different Mario characters that actually speak to and interact with you as you're going throughout the world. There's all these different environments that are very Mario-centric, but it's all like super, it's all very cohesive, it seems, and it will make you feel like you're in a Mario world. And that's very exciting. And I am very hungry right now, so I'll probably eat soon. I'll probably eat immediately after this. But seeing that like cafe was awesome. Just seeing like these Nintendo-centric foods. That's just, I'm hungry, and I think it looks awesome. I'm excited for the potential of this park. Like, already I think it's gonna be amazing as like a Mario park. But again, there's no other Nintendo things, it seems. They didn't show anything else, they didn't tease anything else. But I have to imagine, given that it's called Super Nintendo World, not Super Mario World, that they will eventually expand upon that. Assuming this is very successful, they will. I mean, with every park, there's always expansion. If you've ever been to like Universal or Disney World, over the years, like, they have some rides and they continually add more and more. Like, even the Harry Potter area and Universal is actually split across two different parks, and it kind of connects together. And they've built upon that over the years. It's really awesome now. I feel like it's a really great representation of the Harry Potter universe, but it took time to get there. This Super Nintendo World, while I think it's a really great start from what they've shown so far, again, it's just Mario. The other things may take time to be introduced. And of course, there's other parks that they're working on, and those may be a little bit different when we actually get to see those at some point or another. I think at one point, because there was some speculation that they were working on some sort of Donkey Kong park, and it may have been pulled. Probably because they decided to just focus on just Mario for right now. Make sure they do a really good job with the Mario aspect of things, which I think they are doing a great job of that. And then afterwards, we'll hopefully see more, but it's going to take years. But just kind of checking the chat here. Oh, Temple of Time would be a really interesting thing to show off NES bot. That's an interesting idea there. Biddybud, there is a Donkey Kong area in the works. Okay. Okay, cool. They're still working on it. All right. Very nice. Beverly Card, you have a question? Shoot. Beverly Car, are we going to see more rides? I think there's going to be a few more rides that they didn't show off when it opens because they didn't show us everything. But as I just said, this is something that they're going to continue to build upon over the coming years. It's not going to stay stagnant and just be the exact same thing we see in the beginning. They'll slowly expand upon it over time, and that will include more rides. Kieran Buckley, Japan likely won't let foreigners in until 2022 at the earliest, which is a shame but understandable. Yeah, you could be right. I don't know much about the limitations regarding that, but I want to go to this park ASAP, which may be 2022. 12 feet tall. How about make Mario Kart 9? Nintendo Switch has no Mario Kart 9 game or Mario Kart game. Well, they have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and they also have Mario Kart Live Circuit. And Mario Kart Tour, while not on the Switch, has been out around the Switch's lifetime. So there's 3 different Mario Kart games that they've been focusing on over the last few years. The Mario Kart ARMS team has been developing something since 2017, so I wonder if it is the next Mario Kart. That's a possibility. So they could have that come out on the Switch, maybe. And if so, there's a good chance we see it announced in 2021. But it's also possible that Mario Kart 9 is saved until the next Switch. So we shall see. Like, that Mario Kart 9 might be the next game that the ARMS Mario Kart team works on. They're working on something else right now. Hard to say, though. I'll say that I feel like it makes a lot of sense to have Mario Kart to come out to launch with a actual Nintendo system. So it would make sense to say Mario Kart 9 for the next Switch or whatever it's called. We could also argue that to have a new Mario Kart game to come out for a Switch revision also makes sense as well. Hard to say. Darcy, just think, the longer you take to go to the park, the more will be there when you finally do. You're right. If you take your time, when you finally do show up, it'll be a more complete, expanded version. And that's really exciting. It's kind of like, whenever you're an early adopter, you're not going to get the full experience because it's oftentimes when you're an early adopter for, like, say, for example, a gaming system, everything they have planned for that system is not available day one. Or even for a video game. Take Breath of the Wild, for example. An amazing game, but there was DLC added after the fact that expanded upon things a little bit more. I'll say, though, that at least with Breath of the Wild, the DLC doesn't really, if you don't play it, it doesn't take away from your experience at all, but it does add a little bit more. There are other projects outside of Nintendo. For example, No Man's Sky, which when it came out, it was not even a good experience. It became a decent experience after a long time of them working on it. But I'm not saying the Super Nintendo World Park is not going to be good. It looks like it's going to be really good, but they will expand upon over time because that's just what you do with theme parks. NES Bot, do you think the country's location will change the park theme and they may try and match them up with the climates for different areas? I think inevitably there will have to be some subtle differences. I'm not expecting anything dramatic, but it will be interesting to see what they decide to do with that. Beverly Carter, I hope we can see a Pokemon Stadium VR plus some cartoon TV shows, movies. Oh, Pokemon Stadium VR. That would be very cool, actually. That's a really good idea. I'd love to see something like that. Actually, that could even be like a theme park thing. Like, that makes sense. Bring in your Pokemon and then play some rental battles in Pokemon Stadium VR at a theme park. That's a really cool idea. It'd be like a giant stadium. You could feel like you're in it. That would just be so cool. Tyrez, it must be incredible to watch something you've created grow to be something this big, right? Miyamoto created Mario, and to see where it's gotten, yeah, it's got to be a special feeling for him. NES Battlefront 2 is a good example of something not being done. Yeah. Darcy, do you have any ideas for what they would do if they add some Kirby-related content into the park? Well, something related to eating, because Kirby eats a lot, right? He's always inhaling things. How they could go about doing that? I think you have to have the tree. I forget the name of the tree, but the tree you pretty much fight in almost every Kirby game with the apples falling. They have to incorporate that in some way, for sure. I don't know if it would be a ride necessarily for Kirby, but something you can kind of explore for sure. And maybe like a Kirby Cafe or something like that. There are a lot of Kirby party games, so it'd be interesting to see if they could sort of incorporate some sort of like, like big life-size party game you could play in a Kirby-centric way. I'm not entirely sure what they would do, but there's definitely some things they could sort of explore with that, for sure. Guy you don't know. There used to be a Kirby-themed cafe in Japan, but I believe it was closed a while ago. Having some sort of Kirby-themed cafe makes sense. Any spot. If they add the tree from Kirby, we will probably not get the Deku tree. An interesting perspective there. Like the Deku tree, I would say is definitely way more iconic. And if I had to pick, I would prefer to get the Deku tree. But there's also like what would you do for Zelda? Like I guess you don't just do one specific ride. They can create a whole separate section that may include the castle, Hyrule Field, and the Deku tree. Some sort of mixture, right? It kind of depends on what direction they would go with that, but that's probably a ways off. So we'll see what happens in the future. But I think, we're pretty much kind of done here. If there's any sort of questions or anything you guys want to say, I'll kind of give you guys a couple more moments to shoot them in there. But I'll just say my kind of thoughts on the park. I think it looks amazing. I love how interactive it is. If you're like a Nintendo fan, kind of exploring this entire thing is going to be amazing. I am curious how people who aren't as major of Nintendo fans will feel when they explore this. I think the whole premise of having the watch, or whatever you call it, sort of interact with things throughout, and you can kind of track it on your smartphone, that's neat. And I'm curious how well that will be executed, because depending on the execution, that could definitely, it impact your entire experience of the park. Because if that's like something that's done really well, it makes this park feel really unique. If it's not done really well, it just kind of seems weird, right? But I also think it's neat that the watches are something you can take back home with you. There's some technology there. You can use them as amiibo. I wonder how that'll be incorporated in future games. Interesting. It's very interesting what they're doing with that. It seems like there's a lot of technology that went into this, and it's very exciting. Guy you don't know. How much representation from other Nintendo franchises would you expect them to include over the coming years? I'll say that Pokemon and Zelda deserve their own sections. I think everything else probably should just get like a particular singular attraction. And that's pretty much it. And maybe like as time goes on, some of these attractions sort of blend in with others. Like that's a possibility. Like if they have a Smash Brothers section, that's an opportunity to sort of mix everything in together, obviously. So there's definitely a lot of potential there. But I would say that Pokemon and Zelda need to get their own dedicated sections at one point or another, because those are very huge. I mean, Splatoon actually is pretty large as well. That should get some actually Animal Crossing. So Animal Crossing, Zelda, and Pokemon, I would say, deserve their own dedicated sections, and then every other Nintendo franchise should get like a singular attraction. And that may be a lot. There's a lot they can do there. There's so much they can do with a Nintendo park. I don't know how long it'll take them to eventually get to all of that. This is something that's going to go on for years, right? So we'll see. It could take a long time before they get to most Nintendo franchises. We'll see. Hello, Mallow. Happy birthday, Chris. You've been noticed, but please don't spam. Nintendo Joss, wasn't there a talk of an entire section for Zelda? I'm pretty sure there was one for Pokemon too. I don't know, but I just think like logically there needs to be a dedicated Zelda, Pokemon, and probably Animal Crossing section at one point or another. Was there a hidden Pikmin in one of the teasers? That'd be really nice to see. Beverly Carter, I think I love Cafe Tour. Mario Luigi is talking to characters, your smartphone, and Mario. Yeah, all of that's like really, really, really interesting, for sure. But I feel like we've pretty much talked about everything here. We'll obviously be getting into more detail about the things of this week in the podcast this Sunday. I plan on some sort of video coming out maybe tomorrow, so stay tuned for that, guys. But that's all for now. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you soon. Take care.